Welcome to the Building and Growing podcast. We're delighted to have Andrea Guzzoni with us today. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Lucas.
You're most welcome. Look, where have you flown in from today?
Well, I flew from Spain,
Yeah.
where I'm based in Ibiza,
Nice.
in the Balearic Island, where I relocated 1 year ago.
Uh-huh.
I still commute to London, so I come here 1 week yes, 1 week no.
Yep.
But with the family, we thought it was a good time to be somewhere surrounded by nature.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Well, look, Andrea, why don't you give us a bit of an intro into yourself and talk a bit about your background?
Yeah, I've been in London now for about 7-8 years, but I'm born and raised in Milan, and that's where a lot of my in a way experience and culture and work ethic comes from. Milan is a very particular place in the world, in Italy as well. It's very finance driven. Has a very strong professionalism ethic, and that's, I think, is something that I really brought with me across the world in reality, because before relocating to London, I've been working in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, for 2 years, where I launched one of Rocket Internet Ventures.
Nice.
So I launched one of the first e-commerce website in Kiswahili.
Uh-huh.
Now is of course it grew without me into a successful company. But long story short, I've been in tech for 10 years now.
Nice.
Been always in venture capital, founded tech companies. Started from Rocket Internet, helping an Italian scale-up company to launch their offices in Australia.
Nice, yeah.
And then I came back to London 6 years ago to launch Rent2, that now became easyHire after the latest investment that was led by Easy Group, the same group of EasyJet. So now we changed the company name, and a lot of things changed as we are part of the Easy Group family of brands.
Fantastic, yeah. And look, I know that, once upon a time we were having a beer and you were talking about the beginnings of that company, and you were loading up cars with, sort of equipment hire before, you pivoted to construction.
Yeah, so the journey has been a very long journey, and that's, I think, any founders knows that things change.
Yeah.
And for us, things changed drastically 3 times. But at the beginning, Rent2 was born as a marketplace for equipment hire in general.
Mm-hmm.
The idea actually came because I used to travel a lot for work, and I used to stay in Airbnbs maybe for like a week or 2. And as an Italian, obviously, I missed having an espresso machine. And you don't really want to buy an espresso machine wherever you go. So I thought, why is there not a service where I can just rent it for a week?
Yeah.
It's so much cheaper than going down to your coffee shop, next door every single day, maybe twice per day. It's expensive, right?
Indeed.
So you want an espresso machine, you want a tennis rack, you want it to customize your Airbnb. So that's what Rent2 was born. And at the beginning, when I created the website, I didn't have any product. So I just launched the website. I used to have another job. And I say, basically, when I get to 20 orders, paid orders online, I'm going to quit and just go to London and do this. And that's what I've done. And for the first 7 months, I had to buy everything. So people started renting mini fridges, guitars, office equipment. They started renting baby equipment, airbags. Airbags was the most popular with fitness equipment.
Wow, okay.
And everything, all in my flat in London, I had probably 10 microwaves,
Far out.
20 airbads, 10 strollers. This before I had kids, okay? It was full of baby cots. And my wife then at some moment told me, you need to get out, or you and all your things. So that's why I got a warehouse, and eventually then we started signing vendors into the marketplace. And eventually I managed to stop being the rental company and delivering things myself in London. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Well, look,
Yeah.
you know, they say the best businesses start out in garages.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, there's no shame about doing it in your apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be started in a safe store, one of those places where you keep your storage as well. That's why more things have to.
Yeah.
So in Holloway Road.
Oh, fantastic.
That was, you know, and every morning I was going there at 6 a.m., loading things and delivering with a rain to t-shirt across London.
Yeah.
I was going there buzzing, say, here's your espresso machine, here's your airbed.
Fantastic.
You know,
Yeah, I love it. Well, look, you know, great to hear about how you started that business. I guess, you know, there are going to be two key topics we talk about today: international expansion and fundraising and equity. But why don't we start off with international expansion? It's something you've had experience in at, you know, Rental and easyHire. Do you want to kick off maybe with a high-level overview of what international expansion is?
Yeah. International expansion is an opportunity for a company, first of all, to really see how scalable their product is. In my experience, I always been involved in that because Rocket Internet had a very aggressive go-to-market strategy where they were basically putting flags across countries before proving a business model. So that's a mistake that maybe we can talk about later.
Yeah, for sure.
And in other cases, for us, has been mostly driven by the need of showing how big the market can be. And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of other, you know, companies that they want to see how big the opportunity can really be. And is this going to be just in the UK, or is this going to be something that can go into Europe, into the US? And that's what really international expansion is about. I think a lot of companies are not, unfortunately, sometimes ready to do it. I think that was also our mistake.
Yes.
Very honestly, where we moved maybe too early, and we, in a way, were obliged by like a market in terms of investment and venture capital. They always require, you know, a very big TAM, you know, a total addressable market. Is that big enough? Is it like, are you gonna, you know, how big is your market? That's one of the first questions they always ask you. And then is where you say, you know, we managed to expand into new countries. And that's probably one of the reason we had this opportunity. Another example I would like to bring in terms of international expansion is that sometimes you launch something, let's say a London-based company, you launch something that is very city-focused.
Yes.
And then it's normal, then you don't want to launch the same thing in Bristol just because the demographic is not the same, the dimension of the city is not the same, the turnover of people is not the same.
Indeed.
And then other cities like Paris, Amsterdam, Berlin, or Milan, or Barcelona are probably more similar to, you know, they have the same customer base that you have in London. And that's when you are, in a way, obliged. You know, it's not even international expansion that become that's your market. So you need to be there.
Yeah, indeed. I think it was a really interesting point that you made about Rocket Internet, you know, putting flags in country before there was, say, a proof of concept. Because, you know, city to city is one thing, but, you know, country to country, particularly in emerging markets, which Rocket often focused on, like there are a lot of different dynamics to take into account.
There are a lot of different dynamics, especially when you decide to open a company in any country you go to. That means you have a new legal system you need to deal with, new set of laws, new set of employment rules. That's really something that you don't want to do if you're not 100% sure that that's the, you know, what the business needs. What you need in terms of your deck or your presentation. It has to be what the business needs. That's a massive difference.
Fantastic. And look, you know, I guess you've mentioned about why it's so important for it to, you know, cater to the VC's need of increasing that total addressable market. I guess, you know, that is super important on that pathway to, say, 100 million ARR and other key outcomes that they're out to achieve. But, you know, I want to go back to the beginning of the podcast, you spoke about Italy. You know,
Yeah.
you are Italian. You're
Yeah.
very passionate about the market.
Yeah.
We, I guess, have seen, you know, some startups do well in Italy, but other startups, for example, Uber, which, you know, I would use in every country, it's not available in Italy. So are you able to talk a little bit about Italy as a market and its characteristics?
Yeah, that's a very good question. As you know, the Italian market is a tough cookie. It is. It's not an easy one, and I'd be happy to explain why. And that's my opinion. And
Yeah.
that's one of the bigger problems in Italy has that everybody has a very different opinion to each other. Everybody's very opinionated. It makes it very difficult.
That's it. That's why we love Italy.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
In a way, it gets getting very creative, but sometimes difficult to manage.
Yeah.
I think things changed now, or let me at least let me share that things has started to change. I think now the Italian tech and startup ecosystem is way more mature than 5-10 years ago. It obviously things started later, way later than in the UK, even way later than Spain, for example.
Yeah.
But now I think we finally have a decent number of let's call them unicorns. But why unicorns are important is because they create the ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
They hire people, they train people, they get people used to what startup mentality is, and these people usually go out there and they create other companies, and they would be great people for if you want to launch your company from the UK to hire in Italy, because they are there, they're trained.
Yeah.
That was not there like 5 years ago.
Indeed.
They didn't exist. In the same way, is a massive opportunity because it's a new ecosystem.
Yes.
And that allow movers that come now into the market to really be able to capture part of the market that without even coming with something that innovative.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Something that maybe has been working in the UK for the last 10 years. It might be now the moment for Italy. You need to know how to do it.
Yes.
You need the right people to help you. But at the same time, it could be a massive opportunity.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you made about just having the right people in the market. Because, a few years ago, I remember when Revolut was entering Italy and, hiring country managers on the ground, there weren't that many other sort of startups in Italy, whereas, as you've mentioned, there have been a few unicorns and startup culture is now, pretty popular.
Yeah. I think now you still need to know who to talk with, because unfortunately, so the biggest problem of Italy, obviously, as everybody knows, is the bureaucracy. And that's a difficult one to tackle.
Yeah.
And you need the right partner. With that, means that sometimes the very famous. So, say I'm a UK business and I want to go into Italy, and the first thing I would find is a very well recognized law firm that maybe is a branch of a UK law firm. That maybe I have a good relationship with, and the same law firm that here would have like a R&D and innovation department with young, legal people that know how the startup ecosystem works.
Yeah.
In Italy, will be probably managed by a 75-year-old man that doesn't want to deal with any sort of innovation and will give you the same answer he's been giving for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And I understand why, a foreign company would go to them because it gives you the sense of security of a brand that they recognize.
Yes.
But that's where the issues then really starts because, you need to, if you go to this new law firm that now started, they've been helping also the successful companies to be successful in a tough market like Italy. Those are the people you want to talk to. And also the same issue might happen if you don't have the right person helping you and guiding you through the recruitment. Again, I just say there is a new ecosystem, but it's not massive. So if you don't have the right headhunter that knows how to attract and where to find the right talent that is used to work in an international environment but has the right mentality for innovation,
Yes.
then you're going to find a very motivated person that has a very different working culture than what the UK has. And that's going to be a challenge as well. Yeah.
Indeed. Fantastic. Look, are there any other sort of key considerations you'd give? I know one quote that, you threw at me earlier was the fact that Milan's GDP is the same as Austria's, which, for me means, all right, there's a fair bit of money in Milan, start there. But is there anything else that, you'd recommend companies consider when it comes to, expanding to Italy?
Yeah, this is something I've been helping a good amount of companies now to answer this question. A lot of people ask me, what do you think about the Italian market? Is it a good market for us to go in? And this is something I've been helping now companies to address this issue. The first thing I always say is like, are you ready for international expansion? So let's go back to like, are you already in other markets? And if the answer is yes, I would ask which markets are you in, right? But to get a comparison, what could be similar to Italy? France is similar to Italy, for example, because that's the same bureaucracy, that's the same issues you have with the workforce and different things. It's not. That's an issue, but different than the UK. There's not called them issues, but
much higher percentage of taxes, for a salary relative to in the UK.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into politics because now we have another massive strike in Italy, for example. So similar to France, you had those issues in the UK. Maybe people are not used to. But the first thing when I try to help someone to launch into the Italian market is to, I would say, go a bit slow. And in reality, here, you probably have one of the best pool of Italians in the world, in London, next to you.
Yes.
So the best way is to have a very lean approach. Get maybe someone that can help you study in the market, someone that can help you, understand is there an opportunity in the market, find the right legal firm, find the right headhunter, find the right, business development partner to test the market, but test it from here. You don't have to open a company in Italy until you don't have a certain amount of revenues there. I would not do that. Step one makes no sense. And usually, really, you can find the best talents here. And then, step two, you can decide to go. Completely.
Makes sense. Fantastic. Andrea, keen to discuss fundraising, but before doing that, just want to check if there's anything else you want to comment about when it comes to Italy.
Well, one thing that I really think the market at the moment is very attractive.
Yes.
Especially for companies, UK businesses that maybe are in certain sectors that are like linked to the Italian market. I think now they find also ripe ecosystem, compared to before. Now in terms of as we said, pool of talents, investors, and things like this. And I also want to say that, for example, Milan. We talked about Milan already enough, but it changed so much compared to when I was a kid. I'm not living there, and I love it, but I'm not. But I was born, raised there. My parents as well, my grandparents, and when I used to be a kid, Milan used to be such a great city. It was just about work and work and work and work. Now it's still a lot about work, but it's much more international. It's much more open. It's really like I think it's a small miracle that people don't look at a lot in the last 10 years. But probably one of the cities that in the last 10 years became cool is Milan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you take like a lot of cities that were cool before, like a Paris and Amsterdam or London or a Berlin, they used to be 10 years ago. Milan was not anywhere. Wasn't anywhere. Like and now got like a very different story, thanks to their open mindedness, a bit like on a Melbourne on Australian level, but you know, like you know, a little bit different, maybe not the capital, but really be able now to attract a more diverse pool of people compared to, for example, Rome.
Yeah, indeed. Fantastic. Well, look, Andrea, that's been fantastic to talk about international expansion. Another piece that you've worked on significantly has been fundraising. So I'm wondering if you could talk us through maybe your key learnings from fundraising, you know, and how you know, what experience led to those learnings.
So fundraising is a tough one. You know, I don't think there is necessarily like the only rule is always about, you know, you need to have a million conversations. Everybody's going to tell you, and that's reality. Or you're extremely lucky, or there is no way you're going to be able to find the right partner, not necessarily the money, but the right partner, if you don't have like 1,000 conversations. So in my case, that's the way I approached it since the beginning. And now I'm helping different companies to fundraise at the moment as well. Because I've been an angel investor now for the last 3 years. So I like to invest in companies in different spaces, and now I'm also been helping them in new rounds or new fundraising that maybe they're going through. In my experience, I had the pleasure, the suffering and pleasure of going through different type of investors. From corporate investors to crowdfunding to syndicates, angels, VCs. And they all have different needs, different due diligence process, different requirements, different goals as well. I mean, their returns are different, so they expect different things from you. So all have very different, in a way, also approach that you need to. The way you present yourself needs to be completely different, also. To who you're talking with. And so that's and I think also is very important for anyone who is out there fundraising now, to really try to step back and understand if it's the right moment for you to fundraise. Can you maybe bootstrap a little bit more? Can you maybe actually grow your business more organically, especially today in this economic situation?
When there's such a focus on profitability.
Exactly, profitability, and then defeat a little bit of, and I think the venture capital ecosystem is going through a big shake, and that's a really good thing, because it's been a little bit maybe too much, and everybody knew it, but it's been too much. But at the end of the day, it will go back into VCs. VC, you can't just pitch to a VC and the first thing the VC says, are you profitable? Then it's going too much. So it's going to maturity from 0 to 100 too fast. Okay, I understand that now VCs needs to be, less about just vanity metrics and growth, but it can't just be profitability only. So I mean, it needs to be something in between. You need to have a certain level of risk. So that's kind of been a little bit a lot of different things throughout the years, and now that I find myself helping other companies, I really like to do that. To be honest, is interesting, especially because I have the opportunity to. As an investor myself, I like to first of all try to understand would I invest in this company? Would I invest in this guy or this girl? What are they building? Is that something I can add any sort of value? Is that something I'm passionate about, that I'm gonna read their monthly or quarterly update because I want to know things about the sector, or just because I want to see how they're doing in terms of financials and metrics. So, and I think it's interesting to be able now, with experience I have to help companies to actually talk and target variety investors. You still need 1,000 conversation, but you don't need 1,000 useless conversations.
Yeah,
you know,
indeed.
so you can go a little bit more laser focus, at least on the type of investor you want to raise from.
Excellent. And look, one of the things that you mentioned is, maybe not raising right now, waiting, bootstrap a little more, and get to profitability. And I think that ties in really well to sort of marketing for equity and doing work for equity to support these businesses to fundraise when they're profitable. So I'm wondering if you want to dive into that.
Yeah, I think the whole space about services for equity is a very interesting space, and and I think there is a lot of things that can be done there.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like as necessarily as myself as an angel advising a company and get equity. I'm not talking necessarily about that. I'm talking more about something more structure. More something about that is more linked to a CVC, almost like a corporate venture capital, where a lot of mid-sized businesses maybe they want to be involved into the startup and the innovation ecosystem.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't have the liquidity. They don't have the knowledge as well to really create, to invest in companies.
Yeah.
But they want to be updated with the latest trends. They want to know what's going on in the market. They want to participate.
Yes.
And often these companies, they have a massive database, or they are some of the main sponsor of the most important fair in your sector.
Yes.
So imagine that, at the most important fair in your sector, a company gives you even 10% or 5% of their stand space to put 3 or 4 roller banners of your company. That's priceless, because the association, the opportunity for clients to see you and associate you in such a big environment, it can be unique. So this is something I've been investigating a lot recently. And I think there is an opportunity for corporates to structure better their venture and R&D arm.
Yeah.
Investing and creating an actual formula, as if they act as a venture capital, but instead of deploying cash, they deploy services.
Yeah.
That's something I'm been very passionate about recently, and I'm doing a lot of research about. I really think that for medium and medium-sized companies, they really have an opportunity to tap into the startup ecosystem through this service for equity, in which they can create a sort of portfolio of companies that are linked to their sector, allow them to overview what innovation looks like.
Indeed.
And helping them get into product market fit faster. So sometimes at the beginning, when you have an idea and the first year of life, usually what can you do? You can bootstrap. You can go through an accelerator to then raise VC money, and maybe you raised in your pre-seed round, let's say even 3, 5. Now I've seen pre-seed even in Italy of more than 30 million.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So but in the end of the day, you're gonna have all this money, and you're gonna start trying a lot of different things, and this is gonna delay most probably your product market fit. Well, if you think that's your sector, that's the problem you're solving, and you want to test it fast. The best way to do this is to, in a way, partner up with someone who has already that database, already had the proposition, and already can bring in front of the clients. Because in the end of the day, I think 99% of the companies, they fail because your clients, they don't know that you exist.
Yeah.
That's reality. They don't even know you exist. You haven't really tested even. And that can be a step one for companies to go faster on the product market fit, show traction, and then immediately they can raise more money.
Yes.
I also understand the venture capital side of things, where they are scared to have a corporate in the cap table. find it difficult to see money and the service as the same value. For example, if valuation is the same around. But at the same time, I think if this one is organized better and there is a clear clear sort of actions that will happen to get those equity, and is like with a price tag attached, then I think is not different than money, and is actually the same thing than a VC or an investor would say. I'm putting money, but I'm going to add all my value, all my network. And that's actually more tangible if you have a database that you built in 20, 30 years.
That's it. And look, I mean, it aligns with what the VCs are saying in terms of, focus on profitability. Well, if you can get profitable by getting clients and access to that network by giving away a bit of equity, it can really, really help out that sort of that revenue. Yeah, fantastic. Andrea, anything else that you want to mention about fundraising and equity?
In terms of fundraising and equity, I think it's a very interesting market nowadays. So I think it's going to be, in a way, I think we have to wait and see how things are going to reshape maybe next year. I think it's also a very interesting market now for who is liquid and can acquire companies. Obviously, it's very expensive to borrow money, but if you have money now, of course, it's very cheap.
That's right.
To
discount
buy companies.
Shopping.
Discount shopping. So that's the way I would, I would go to an investor to say, because then of course investors are cheaper than banks. And in a way, depends. Depends on the headache they give you on a call on a Saturday night. But, and I would, phrase your growth now in terms of an acquisition.
Yes,
I would go to an investor saying it doesn't need to be a lot of times people are scared about M&A and they think it's like some massive leverage buyout where you need to, I'm talking about very simple things. There is someone who has been doing something similar, maybe has a more advanced SEO website that can, cut you a lot of time, or has a database, has been in the business maybe for 5 years, 6 years, maybe 10 years, but maybe it's been a lifestyle business. That's the time to buy it and grow faster. I think that's what I would do.
Fantastic. And look, Andrea, any takeaways that you'd like to share with the audience?
In terms of takeaway, I think I would I would basically say what I say all the time to myself when I'm thinking if I'm interested in helping or investing in a new company. Is because there's a mistake that I've done myself. Is the founder, is he or she passionate really about the sector? Is it something that you really are gonna read about also in your free time? Is it something that you really want to solve? Is something you really care about? Because I think the mistake done, there was like an interview from Bezos, I guess, that was describing how there are mercenaries and missionaries, different type of entrepreneurs. And mercenaries would be just launching a company to sell it, and a missionary was someone that has a mission. That's what I want to do. And I think I've been a mercenary myself in a way, and that came unfortunately to the moment in which I joined I think the tech ecosystem. 10 years ago, Rocket Internet, everything was new. It was just about growth.
Indeed.
And just I think that now things change, and I think finding someone that is really truly passionate about something is going to really build a company that lasts. And it's going to be difficult then to convince to sell. But then really, you're doing a good investment. And the other things is if you really have a clear advantage. That's the other thing. Maybe you don't really care, but that's maybe not your mission.
Yeah.
But you really know something that someone doesn't.
Yes.
Or you have the right link at the right time. Then I would invest in you as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I would understand you can be mercenary in that situation because that's business. You know, you buy cheap, you sell high. You know, that's how it works. But you need to really have an advantage, not just I see an opportunity and I'm gonna build something in that opportunity. That's too vague.
Yeah.
You know, I know something that people don't know, and that's what I'm gonna do, and that's A, B, and C. Then okay, then it's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And look, you know, you did mention my absolute favorite quote, you know, buy low, sell high. Like, you know, like there's like, that is pretty much, you know,
as business.
Like,
I'm doing an executive MBA at Oxford now, but that's, you know, if the end of the day, this is it. Yeah.
Buy low, sell high, and understand that there's a funnel, you know, and like not everything that goes in the top ends up at the bottom. But yeah. Andrea, look, thanks so much for joining us today, and looking forward to hearing how the MBA goes.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Thank you, mate.